This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. Ease.com, spelled E-A-Z-E, is the place to go to when you want fully state legal California marijuana delivery. They have the entire state's different sets of rules and regulations for delivery baked right into their system, so you'll automatically be fully in compliance yourself when you place your order through Ease.com. And because Ease is super picky about the dispensaries they partner up with, you'll only find top quality products at great prices. And over at ease.com/blog, you'll find a bunch of useful bits of industry insight and analysis, including their most recent piece looking at how marijuana, including medical, is taxed in the Golden State. That's ease.com and ease.com/blog. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, March 23rd, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 453 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Great news out of Canada, as yesterday the federal Senate voted 44-29 in favor of Bill C-45, which stood its second of three readings and votes necessary before passage. The bill will swing before a few Senate committees ahead of a third and final vote to come in the Senate in June. There was some scrambling on Wednesday by supporters of the bill to call back senators to Ottawa as prohibitionist senators made a quick move for the vote, hoping to catch enough progressives out of town to scuttle the legalization bill. The successful vote came hours after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau publicly pushed for its passage. This is a good one to open up and read if you're into the steamy details of Canadian federal policy making. Swinging down to our own Senate, we have the unfortunate news that legislative protections for adult use marijuana were not included as part of the compromise budget bill agreed to this week by federal lawmakers. Although protections for state legal medical marijuana were part of the package, progressive and pro-cannabis lawmakers like Colorado Senators Michael Bennet and Cory Gardner, as well as Colorado Representative Jared Polis, were unable this week to obtain the passage of language extending those same protections to adult use cannabis. Our final top story of the day is one of those rare headlines that isn't exactly about cannabis, but rather about our nation's ongoing opioid crisis, which continues to kill more than 175 Americans each and every day. Given that medical marijuana is one of the easier solutions to easing some of the worst effects of the opioid crisis, I think it's important that we all have a good handle on the issue. This headline is a forehead smacker, as Kellyanne Conway, the lead point person for President Trump's quote-unquote response to the opioid crisis, said that the key to not getting hooked on opioids is to eat more junk food. Taking the spirit of just say no to an entirely new level of stupid, Ms. Conway said, quote, "On our college campuses, your folks are reading the labels, won't put any sugar into their body, they don't eat carbs anymore, and they're very, very fastidious about what goes into their body. And then you buy a street drug for $5 or $10 and it's laced with fentanyl, and that's it. My short advice is, as somebody double your age, eat the ice cream, have the French fry, don't buy the street drug," unquote. This terrible woman, who is terrible for so many, many reasons, is the person that's in charge of saving 175 dead Americans every day. That's Trump's brain trust. Only the best. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Ease, California's top one-stop website for legal marijuana delivery. You know Ease.com is where you turn to for legal marijuana delivery in California, and Ease.com/blog is where you go to read all sorts of useful bits of insight and analysis while you wait for your delivery. But their blog is really somewhere you should be spending lots of time at because of things like their 2017 State of Cannabis Data Report. Ease is smart because they realize that they're not only a cannabis delivery company, but also one that sits atop a valuable mountain of industry insight. They take their sales data stream, which saw an average of one order every 10 seconds last year, and properly aggregate and anonymize it, which is especially important these days, and then they suss out knowledge, wisdom, and information to share with the rest of the world. Because of ease, we know exactly how much the market share of cannabis flower is changing in the face of the rise of concentrates, pre-rolls, and edibles. Because of ease, we can plot the rise in the number of female cannabis consumers as well as folks in older demographic categories. There are a lot of things that Ease found out that you can read for yourself over at ease.com/blog, which again is spelled EAZE. Thanks for the support to everyone at Ease. All right, time for the Blitz. The Cannabist has an important story up looking at the possibility of the federal government bringing the death penalty against people engaged in the state legal marijuana industry. As regular listeners know, President Trump has proposed that the federal government start murdering high-level drug dealers using a part of federal law that allows for the application of the death penalty for certain high-level traffickers. According to reporting first by the Washington Post's Christopher Ingraham, the level to trigger a federal death penalty for cannabis is having more than 60,000 plants or more than 132,000 pounds of product, which sounds like a lot and is a lot, but is certainly within the range for a lot of people right now involved in state legal cannabis businesses. While the general sentiment is that there's not much chance of that actually happening, do we really want to leave that up to someone with the terrifically terrible decision-making capabilities of either Jeff Sessions or President Donald Trump? Yesterday in New Jersey, a state assembly committee voted to approve a proposed measure that would do away with the state's medical marijuana qualified conditions list entirely, freeing doctors and other healthcare providers to recommend medical cannabis for any condition for which they thought it would be helpful. The bill would also double the amount of medical marijuana registered patients would be allowed to buy at any one time to 4 ounces, as well as greatly expand the number of licensed dispensaries and cultivators allowed to be open. The bill still needs to survive a vote by the Assembly at large and then a trip through the Senate, so we'll keep an eye on its progress. Swing over to nj.com for all the details on this one. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. The Washington Post has a good story up about a medical marijuana dispensary in Maryland that banned customers because they complained about it online, including 2 people who weren't happy about the high price of cannabis products found on its shelves. The offending shop, the Allegheny Medical Marijuana Dispensary, is located in Cumberland, Maryland, and was criticized by one customer online for selling $84 eighths of medical cannabis. The shop's owner was not happy about the complaint and told that customer that she was banned from buying on her next visit. That same scenario played out with another patient customer who similarly complained about the dispensary's high prices before being banned himself. This is a good story to open up and read in full. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb just signed a bill into law that legalizes the sale and use of CBD medical marijuana products. The bill carves out a legal exception from marijuana prohibition for products made from hemp containing less than 0.3% THC. State lawmakers in New Hampshire voted 153 to 135 yesterday to send back to committee a proposed bill that would have legalized adult use marijuana. House Bill 656 has been effectively iced for the year by the vote and would have allowed for a similar system to neighboring Vermont, which recently legalized the possession and cultivation of small amounts of marijuana. Continuing on the theme of our third top story today, we have news that President Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, who not too long ago was quoted as saying there is no such thing as medical marijuana, is now warning that illicit cannabis is being laced with the highly addictive and dangerous pharmaceutical opioid fentanyl. The secretary is correct that fentanyl is being mixed in with other drugs, primarily other opioids, but there is zero evidence that the same can be said for marijuana. Given the secretary's difficulty differentiating between facts and Jeff Sessions' propaganda briefings, it's probably a good idea to throw some skepticism up whenever the good secretary talks about drug policy. And finally, for today, the Orange County Register is reporting that a California-based entrepreneur has been booted from the Global Entry Program, which allows frequent travelers to submit personal information to the government in exchange for being able to process more easily through airport security and customs. The program is similar to a more limited system within the U.S. run by the TSA called TSA PreCheck. According to the OC Register, industry entrepreneur Aaron Herzberg was informed that his job within the industry was the cause of his being removed from the program. Mr. Herzberg is requesting a reconsideration, which we'll report back on. This sounds small and not very newsworthy, but the TSA PreCheck and Global Entry Program was set up to help screen out people deemed too dangerous to fly. This one seems important. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Why did the police take the 3-year-old into custody? Because he was resisting arrest. Thanks to our own Dan Grassroots Goldman for that one. And thanks to our sponsor Ease and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with Marijuana Today. Today.
One take, Shay. One take.